Today on the Surviving the Human Experience podcast, we are going to be continuing the She Wise Wellness series. This is episode 3 of 5, and in today's conversation, I'll be covering Biofield Tuning Explained. So, for those who may be tuning in for the first time, I am Kristin. I am a certified health coach, certified nutrition and wellness coach, as well as certified biofield tuner, Zyto practitioner, certified Asui Reiki master practitioner, and I have completed the leadership and development program through George Washington University and hold an MBA, Master's in Human Resource Management, and Bachelor's of Psychology from Marymount University. My approach is all about blending energy and science, understanding that we are energetic beings and that there is plenty of science out here to support that. And when you blend the two, you have a beautiful way to approach our health and wellness and all things that impact our human experience. So for today's topic, let's jump into biofield tuning. I've had folks asking, what in the world is it? I don't understand. So let's just go with some basics here. Biofield tuning is where science and energy meet. It's a form of sound therapy that uses vibrational frequencies while working on the body's electrical system to support the body in achieving balance, harmony, and relaxation. The method works on both the conscious and subconscious mind. And to put it simply for you, you literally are using tuning forks to help work through the biofield to figure out where energy might need to be shifted, moved, is stuck, and really to just use sound frequency as a guiding tool for assisting with the overall health of the electrical body system. So for those who follow biofield tuning, you'll know that Eileen Day McCusick is the one who created the biofield tuning construct. There's biofield tuning maps that show different spaces on the body and what different energy centers, chakras, for those who prefer the term chakra, how things align and marry up when we're working in that biofield to figure out where there might be certain things happening in the body, energy that might be trapped or need to be moved. And so she is the founder of Biofield Tuning as it is. And so I share that because you may want to check out some of her stuff on YouTube as well to understand a little more about Biofield Tuning and the magic that goes with getting these sessions. All right, so how does it work? So I wanted to explain this because I've had a lot of people say, okay, so you're using tuning forks. I don't get it. How is it different? How is biofield tuning different than maybe if I've gone to a different practitioner and experienced the use of a tuning fork during a session? Because tuning forks have been used for a long, long time, and they are great, and you'll see them in some chiropractors' offices. Some doctors are using them. They're not something that's new or unusual to have seen, but the concept and the actual systems that are built around biofield tuning itself is different than just using a tuning fork or just placing it directly in a space on the body when you're seeing a practitioner who might incorporate the use of a tuning fork in their modalities. All right, so I use the tuning forks to work with your energy field to optimize wellness by creating an environment for the body to naturally experience a state of balance, coherence, and relaxation. That's important because it's not something that's forced. It's working with your body and your rhythms and your frequencies. So I wanted to share that because I think that's a really important point. During an in-person session, the client can either lay on the table or sit in a chair. I do that based off of comfortability of client. If there's a client who, for whatever reason, is unable to lay on the table to have the session done, we'll do it in the chair. I mean, it's literally, it depends. It varies. If there's somebody that's wheelchair, then they're going to sit in their wheelchair and I'm going to work around that chair. I've had a client who had sustained some injuries due to a motor vehicle accident, and she just could not lay flat on her back. This was a first session, and so she hadn't had any of this work done. So I said, let's start with the chair. I want somebody to feel comfortable in the space that they're in, especially since you're being introduced to something new. We want the experience to be pleasant. And again, I'm here to hold space and work with my client, not to, say, oh, it has to be done a certain way. That's the awesome thing about working in the energy and holistic space, is that there is no set rule. There's no hard and fast, it has to be done this way. So that's very important. I like to share that. So the practitioner, when you're doing biofield tuning, is working in the client's energetic field to identify and work on areas requesting attention. So as a session is begun, you're opening up the different points and areas on the body so that we can work within that energetic field. And so typically going about 6 feet out, give or take, on the left side and the right side of the body. You can start on either side, but going out into that space allows us to tap into that energetic field that works with the pre-gestational phase. And then as we're working in closer to the body, we're coming in through the different time phases in the body. So as you're closer to the body, you're more towards the person's physical age today, present time. But as we're further out, you're looking at before birth, and then during birth, and then you're working through all of the years leading up to where we are today. Coming through to bring everything to center, which is in biofield tuning, going up and down the body, is called the central channel, which aligns with where the energy centers are and the chakras. But it's referred to as central channel in biofield tuning. And so we're bringing energy in to restore balance and harmony into that central channel. So I share that, that's important. And then we've got the earth star and we've got the sun star. Earth star being at the person's feet area, and then up here is sun star. And what we're doing is we're bringing energy field out a good couple inches, preferably around 6 to 10 is what I strive for, to be able to open that energy field up. Because once you've opened that energy field up, you can get in there and you can work with the spaces that are requesting attention. Now, for virtual sessions, the individual can either lie down or sit as well, wherever the person feels comfortable, and you're working more so on the hologram. And I'll talk about that a little further when I talk about do you need to be in person for these sessions. And so, okay, let's go there. Actually, let's go there now. Do you have to be in person for the sessions? No, absolutely not. I offer in-person sessions as well as the virtual client sessions. For virtual sessions, you're working on the person's hologram. So if you're new to this space and you're like, what in the world is she talking about? So how it works is you can be on your phone or on your computer. We'll jump on a Zoom session and we'll just connect into each other. You'll see my face, I'll see your face, so that we can just at least have a conversation. And then we'll go off camera and you either lay down or sit in your chair, and I will work on the table literally as if you were laying there. So working on your hologram to work the different areas and points depending on what type of session we're doing for your biofield tuning. And so you will feel energy flow just as if you were in person. All of the research and all of the practitioners who have conducted in person as well as virtual sessions have reported that the client has felt the same type of experience. Of course, it's awesome if you can be in person, but the reality is, depending on where you are or what might be going on in your life, you might need to do a virtual session if you're local to somebody who is certified to do biofield tuning. And I again say certified to do biofield tuning because it is there's a science and a process behind this. So checking to make sure that somebody is properly credentialed to offer biofield tuning is also important, because again, it maintains the integrity of the program and the system that has been created that is known as Biofield Tuning. So basically, what's going to happen is if you're virtual, you're just hanging out, you're chilling, but you're feeling the energy. And then the practitioner is doing the work, and they are literally doing everything they would do as if the person is in person. So the sessions typically last 45 minutes to an hour. My sessions tend to be an hour long. Sometimes they might go a few minutes over because we have to have some pre-discussion, or maybe there's some unpacking of some of the things that occurred during the session, and that's perfectly normal and that's perfectly fine as well. But there is a lot that can be uncovered in a session. And so it may be necessary for more than one, just depending on what the client comes in trying to achieve. It's all about the client driving what the needs are for the session and the intentions. We set the intentions of what we're trying to focus on as well for the session. So I want to talk about what are some of the types of sessions that are offered, because I think this is important too. There's different options available for these sessions. So there's a standard session, which is where I begin with clients, because initially when you're new to this, we want to get into the biofield and we want to see what's going on. We want to figure out if there's certain areas that require attention, and if they do, then what does that look like? So doing a standard session allows us to, activate the points that need to be started to open up your energy field. Then we're setting the intentions. We're shifting that Earth star and Sun star, because what will happen is in the human experience, depending on if there's tension or stress or, just different life things happening, you tend to retract the Earth star or Sun star. And so bringing it out, that good 6 to 10 inches away from the body helps us open up and expand and create room for the work to be performed. Okay, and so during that standard session, a client can expect to just hang out and lay there. We've got everything in place. Use the pendulum to go over the energy centers in the central channel to figure out, okay, where is the body asking for attention? Is it asking for attention down by the feet? Is it maybe by the knees? Is it, by the root chakra, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown? Where are we being called by the body to do the work? And so once we identify that area, then we're going to go to the outer edge of the field, which is, out in that 6-inch space that I shared and talked about. And we're going to start there, and then we're just going to bring that in. We're just going to kind of keep coming in and combing with the fork. And so there's combing and columning that's happening. Those terms don't mean much to somebody who's new to this. But, I've got my 174 fork here. We call that the workhorse. And I've got my Biofield Tuning hockey puck. And so I will strike that hockey puck with the fork, and I'll begin with that 174. Again, that frequency is the workhorse. It's the one that's really going to cut through and let me know what's going on. And you listen in for the tone and the pitch. And as a practitioner, you can hear the difference when you're striking that fork to figure out, okay, is there, a change in tone? Is there a certain space within the energetic field of that person's biofield that all of a sudden the fork is fizzling out? Or maybe the tone just changes pitch. And so we might need to stop and pay attention to that space. Or in some cases, I've been, in many situations, you're working and all of a sudden the fork doesn't want to move because you can feel the energy and you can feel the stuckness or the tension or whatever is happening in that space. And so you hang out there for a while. You literally just hang out. You just keep striking the fork, let it do its magic and keep going. One thing that I found to be super helpful, I'm a big fan of my 222 fork, love twos. So there's that part, but it does bring in a sound frequency of peace. And so I'll just strike that fork on that puck and I kind of comb through. And again, My experiences vary depending on the client and what's going on in their field. And so I typically feel into the space to figure out which frequency I'm going to use. So I've got weighted forks, and weighted forks are, they have the barrels on the end. And so you don't hear the noise as much with them. You feel more of the vibration when you're using the fork. And then the unweighted forks are the ones that you'll hear the tone and pitch much louder. But I tend to bring my weighted forks in when I need something to kind of clear through some energy or something feels a little stuck. And if the 174 isn't moving it and my 222 isn't moving it, I've got the 144 unweighted as well. But I'll bring in the weighted for it just to be able to help me get through a space if we're there for a while and it's taking some time. So that's a little bit about the standard session. And so you're literally combing in and then you're columning up through the centers. And so as you're doing these different techniques, you're able to, as I like to share, let me back up a little. So my philosophy and my explanation when I'm talking to somebody about biofield tuning is you have this biofield around you that goes out, about 6 feet each way. And then we've got the top and we've got the bottom. We've got the Earth star on the bottom. We've got the sun star on the top. And so your body is, in this centerpiece here. And then there's all of this space outside that's known as your biofield. So in the body, right in that central channel in the middle, I like to look at this and explain this as all of your life force is sitting in this central channel. It's in those energy centers. It's what's radiating out. It's what's pushing the energy into the environment. And so as we go through life and we have all of these life experiences, it's almost like sometimes that light can leak out a little bit. And as it's leaking out, it's going into the biofield, right? And so now you've got the conversation. And if you haven't read them already, I recommend you read Eileen Day McCusick's books. She's got the Electric Health, and then she's got the Biofield Tuning book out. And so if you go and you read about this, you'll understand that what I call leaking light, it's different plasmas and protons and all of these things going out into your energy field. And so it's almost like there's fragmented pieces. And so what I'm doing when I'm working in that field is I'm bringing all of that back into the central channel. So you're sweeping it up as you're going through with the forks so you can bring it back in and you can create that, restoring that wholeness and bring you back to that harmony, that peace, that balance. And so what I found in doing this is that oftentimes somebody who may have gone through a really difficult time or difficult experience is still holding on to some of the emotional feeling and response to that, right? And so the body, knowing and understanding how energy works, the body doesn't know what is a past experience and what is a present experience. So in saying that, your body thinks that if it experiences something, and you're talking about it, your body's going to respond the same way it did in that experience. So that's why oftentimes you'll hear people say, be careful about retelling certain stories or going through, because you're literally sometimes placing that body back through that experience and that response. And that can be very difficult. And so in using the frequency of the forks, it's almost like you're able to neutralize. So you don't erase a memory or an experience. The experience still happened. It still is very real. However, you are able to, for lack of a better word, subdue the reaction in the body to what happens when that story or that situation comes up. So it's no longer this big, huge, traumatic response time in a lot of instances. So I share that because I think that's really important. So I always start with, standard sessions with clients. Then there's an adrenal rhythm reset, which is super duper cool. And on that one, you're really working with folks who have expressed feeling completely run down, burnt out, just have had enough. They're like, oh my goodness, I feel like I can't catch a break. My adrenal glands have been running on 100 forever, and whew, I'm zapped. And so those are in a series of three. And so the sessions are set up that way on purpose, to allow for the different healing process to occur. So you first got to get in there the first session and feel into what the heck is going on. Like, where are we at? What are these adrenal glands saying? What is happening? And then a week later, you want to go at least a week, or a few more days is fine too. But you don't want to go much closer than a week, because you want to give the body a chance to recalibrate and recenter itself and integrate some of what's happening in the sessions that are occurring. Because again, you're adjusting the body back to its frequencies that it was designed to be at. So in doing that, you need to give the body a chance to kind of catch up, because if you've gone through so long where your body is just like, enough, I've had it, absolute enough. And then all of a sudden you come in with these adrenal rhythm resets. The body's like, what is happening? Like, am I going back home? Like, I don't know what's happening here. So it's really giving the body that chance to say, oh, okay, we're safe. We can relax. We can go back to how we should be operating and functioning. So when you get to that second session, although you're repeating similar things that are happening, it's a chance for now the adrenal glands to say, oh, okay, I got it. This is what we're doing. And by that third session, the body is like, all right, I'm feeling pretty good. And a lot of clients share that they have experienced restored energy coming back, feeling better, just generally physically not as exhausted, overwhelmed, and just burnt out. So that one's a really awesome technique that has helped with a lot of folks who are just experiencing that burnout from just running too much. So there's that. Then we have the sacral stabilization. Again, that one's another really great one. Just getting in there, working in that sacral area to stabilize things, because sometimes we're just throwing our energy centers off, and it might be, because of the way and the habits and the behaviors that we're going through life with. And then other times it's as simple as it could literally have just been, you're just doing your thing and life happens. And when life happens, sometimes we need to have those stabilization sessions done. Seated chair session, another really awesome one. That one's a shorter session, but it really gets in, and you can really, if somebody's got a lot of shoulder tension, back and neck pain, you get in and you work in that space, and you're just doing different scatter shots of the forks throughout the body, which is super cool, because as you're doing that, you're able to give the body a chance to just kind of feel into what's happening. And I'm looking for my forks here. So there's the Fibonacci pair that I use sometimes, the solfeggio frequencies. And so you're just placing them throughout the shoulder area, working in that back area. And it's amazing, because you can see, like, if you start on one shoulder, you'll see the one shoulder relax and drop, and then the other one's up high. And then when you go over and you work on that other area, you're like, oh my gosh. And you can see the drop, you can see the relaxation and the tension starting to dissipate. So really awesome option for somebody who's like going through a lot of stress and just really needs that quick, like, I don't have time for a full, hour plus session, but I really want to get in here and I need to just get rid of some of this tension. So that can be a 20 or 30-minute session. So again, it's a wonderful option to release tension and stress. And then let's see, I talked about, sonic meridian flush. So with that, you're working with the meridian spaces and you're doing a sonic flush. And so that can be super helpful just as a whole body reset. So that one, a little more entailed when it comes to working on the different areas, and just takes a little bit longer. And, you're working on the hands and you're working on the forearm and just the legs, and you're just kind of going through the whole meridian space and you're just doing a flush. And so it's really really a great option for somebody that's looking for a whole reset. And again, oftentimes we'll start with a standard session, and then if that's where it seems like we need to go, or the client feels like that's where we're supposed to go, then that's where we're going to go. And that's perfectly fine. Um, I get asked a lot too, like, okay, so if I do this session, I'm new to this, what should I expect? Like, are there side effects of these? And what does that look like? And so I like to tell people that when it comes to doing these sessions, any type of energy work, honestly, there's a few things that need to occur after. I call them aftercare instructions. And I think that, again, these are things that we should be doing regardless of which energy modality we're participating in. It's not uncommon to feel tired after. When you're moving your own energy and you're shifting things or you're bringing things back into balance, you're laying there, so you feel like, well, I didn't do anything. I just laid here. But you really are. You're really moving energy, and it's your own energy. So being aware that it's normal and okay to feel tired after a session, perfectly acceptable. You may feel a little just drained, like, oh, I don't know. I just feel like I went through something. Again, that's normal. I always offer the recommendation of taking a salt bath after, an Epsom salt bath. Epsom salt is great at clearing energy. If you're not a bath person, that's okay. You can also do a shower, and it's the intention behind things. So you can envision the water washing away any residue or any energy that you don't want to hold on to, or you're just trying to release. And then also there's some really great Epsom salt scrubs that you can use too. I'm really getting into those lately because, my time has become a little shortened as I continue to build out all of the exciting things and be able to offer the services to clients. So as I'm doing that and I'm shifting into a different space as we're getting set up here in our new location, I found myself needing to condense some of my times. Now, mind you, I'm not skimping on my self-care. I'm just adjusting my routine. So that plug is there because self-care is still necessary. So being able to use the Epsom salt scrub is just as beneficial if you are not a person who enjoys baths or you just don't have the physical time to spend doing the whole bath process. So that's another option. And then hydration. Hydration is super, super duper important. And the reason I share that is because as you're going through and you're moving and shifting things around, treat it as if you went to the gym. You're going through the energy gym is what we are doing, but you're going through that space. So being hydrated, making sure you have electrolytes, right? So paying attention and being cognizant of the type of water we're drinking as well. Doesn't hurt to put a little sprinkle of lemon in there. Lemon does a fantastic job at restoring and bringing water back to life. We have a lot of things going on nowadays, whether it's bottled water or toxins in the water or whatever. So making sure your water source is clean as well is very important. So I share all of that because I think it's necessary to be aware and eyes wide open coming in. I will ask a client, what do you have planned tomorrow? Is there something, that's going to require your full focus and attention? Because if it does, and we're doing a session and there's two areas that come up that need attention, if you need to be front and center, fully functional, don't have time to be exhausted or kind of adjust to something new, then I'm not going to touch your crown chakra. Because if I'm going up here, there could be a little bit of time that needs to occur for everything to settle and for you to be like, okay, I feel perfectly good. And so I want you clear and ready to take on whatever you need to take on. So if we're working in the crown chakra area, I always say it's best for us to do that maybe when you're going into a weekend, or if you've got, the next day off of work or something, just so that you have enough time to adjust. It's nothing that's going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't function. That doesn't happen, but it is an adjustment period. And so I want to be making sure your experience is as productive and positive as possible. So working with you and your rhythms and your schedule is super duper important. So, what are some of the cautions and guidance? So, I like to share cautions and guidance. It was part of, what we learned to make sure as a biofield tuner, I'm operating in a capacity that is sound and ethical and is informative, right? So, of course, you're going to give consent to do biofield tuning just like you will any other of the energy modalities. But some of the things that we offer caution and guidance and circumstances that maybe it might not make sense or might not be the option that you want to pursue for your health and wellness routine would be in areas if there is active cancer or if somebody's at the end of their life. Because if you're at end of life, then technically your light is starting to dim, right? Your soul is saying, okay, I've done my human experience, and now it's time for me to move on. And so, if that's the case, then going in and doing biofield tuning and tuning that frequency is bringing life force back in. So, that's the opposite of what is trying to be achieved when somebody is at end of life. So, that one's one, that would be a caution and guidance. If they're electrical or medical implants, these are tuning forks and there is electric health. And just like if you go to the hospital and let's say, you're being revived or something, they're using electrical shock to your body and they're using electrical things even when they're doing EKGs or EEGs, things like that. And so you're using a tuning fork with a frequency. And so we want to be cautious if there are any electrical medical implants. Recent concussions, tend to stay away from those, like to give the brain a little bit of time to heal before you go in and start working on somebody. Controlled seizures, that's another area too that we want to be cautious of. And then, if there's pregnancy. So there are practitioners and there is evidence that shows that pregnancy is perfectly fine to work on a client. But, these are things that the client has to make a decision and has to decide if they're going to want to do this. So those are just some cautions and guidance. And that's just truth and transparency because that's what I'm all about over here. What are some of the benefits? So why would somebody want to do biofield tuning? What would be a great benefit and how could it help? So clients that have reported benefits from biofield tuning have shared things like they felt more balanced. They felt calmness. So I've had plenty of clients that have come in that are just like, I feel like I'm losing my mind. And then they have a session and they just feel so relaxed and feel so calm and feel so good. Feeling lighter. That's a common response. That feeling lighter piece has been a very common theme of something I hear. Like people come in, they just feel like, oh, like the weight of the world is on their shoulders. And when they're getting up and they're leaving a session, they're just feeling like, oh, wow, I feel like I released some stuff. I feel good over here. Feeling relaxed, especially like I mentioned with that chair session where somebody feels like such tension in their body and they're like, oh my gosh, I feel so tense. And then they have a session and they get up and they walk out and they just feel like, wow, everything's loosened up. I feel like I can move my arms and my neck and all of the things. So that's a really awesome, that's an awesome feedback tool that we received. And then release, feeling like some of that stress and that pressure and the story, the heaviness of the old stories is being released is another common thing. So that's some of the benefits, but again, it's really trying to bring harmony and balance and coherence back into the biofield. That's really the main goal here. And anything else that happens is just extra added benefit. So, a little bit about my journey with biofield tuning. It was really awesome because I had been exposed to tuning forks prior and they had been used in some of the healing sessions I had gone to, but I had not really heard of biofield tuning proper. And so, when I had an opportunity to engage with Eileen McCusick, it was very exciting because as I listened to her, I was like, ooh, this is a missing piece of the journey because for me, one of the main things I've always been seeking is how do I help others find that coherence and balance, especially those who've gone through different episodes of traumas or have had life experiences that have really affected their biofield. And so I have explored many different modalities and I offer many different modalities. For example, Zyto was huge on my journey. It helped identify a lot of things. And that supplementation at the time in my journey is what my journey called for. And then I explored Reiki and I was a recipient of Reiki as a client first. And then I said, wow, I really want to learn this and incorporate this and help others on their healing journeys. And so that's when my Reiki journey unfolded. And then Biofield Tuning presented itself, and I was amazed because Biofield Tuning added a whole different level. Okay, it was a whole different experience for me. And I say that because working in the space of restoring central nervous systems and going through experiences that test your nervous system to a whole different level really it really can have an effect on a person's body. And working in a space where I work with a lot of women who have come out of some really unhealthy spaces and seeing the impact it's having on their nervous systems, it was really important to me to figure out ways that I could help support through my integrative holistic practitioner lens. How can I help others in this field, in this energy and science space, to reclaim themselves, find their voice again, and go on that healing journey that allows them to uncover and rediscover this amazing being that they are. And this caught my eye. I mean, there are two main things that along my journey have really caught my eye. It's been the meditation practices. I am a big follower and recipient of Joe Dispenza's work. Dr. Joe Dispenza does incredible work in the meditative space, working with meditation to get through some really interesting ways of going forward and moving along on your path. And so meditation, specifically the meditations that he prepared and provided, were amazing. And then that next one that caught me was the biofield tuning. And the biofield tuning, like I said, it's sound frequency. There's science behind sound frequency. This wasn't woo-woo. This wasn't, okay, you have to be in the spiritual mindset, although I am super spiritual, so I'm here for all of it. But for my clients who weren't, that really needed something that spoke to them more from a scientific perspective, and there was history behind this. It's not something new. It's really, there's sound research behind this. So for me, when I had the opportunity to go become a practitioner and get certified in biofield tuning, after receiving biofield tuning, I knew this is where I was supposed to go. It made sense to me. The electrical health concept made sense. We are electric. I mean, there is a biofield around us. You can't even deny that. I mean, that is just, it's what's happening. And once we understand our energy and how to work within our energetic boundaries, and we learn energetic hygiene, whoa, it's a game changer. And it allows us to show up as our best selves. And so that was really what brought me here. So I enjoy my biofield tuning sessions, both giving and receiving. For me, it's really helped add some clarity and some balance. I've experienced a lot of benefits that have helped me move to my next space, helped me move past stuckness, helped me work through some different emotions and some different things that were holding me back. And so it's had tremendous benefits. I've had clients that, have come to me for various reasons, looking for different results. And I always say, we're going to just see what happens in the session. Because you might show up thinking one thing and another thing might present itself. And that's the cool thing about working with energy. We can think something is leading us somewhere, and then we find out actually the issue wasn't in your heart chakra, it was in your root. Or, maybe there was a silencing of the voice along the way. And so working in that throat chakra space, or maybe it's the heart that's got some blockages that we need to work on that energy center too. So, there's been some really magnificent, indescribable things that I've gotten to witness and hold space for along this journey. So that is a little bit about biofield tuning. I hope I was able to share with you more about what it is, how it works, explain that you can do these in person or virtually, um, some of the cautions and guidance for it, and then also the amazing benefits. So I hope I was able to give you a little bit more today. I hope that you will give it a shot and give it a try. We are offering specials at She Wise Wellness in the month of July. So if you do go online to www.shewisewellness.com and you book a session with me, put in the code July 10 and you'll get 10% off the session for July. We're doing that because we just opened a new location. And so very excited to share some savings with folks so that you can experience the amazing benefits of biofield tuning as well. My concluding thoughts for you today on biofield tuning are that biofield tuning works with the natural biofield of the body. It is a powerful sound frequency technique to assist with creating coherence, balance, and harmony. So if all of that sounds good to you, then you should definitely give it a try. I promise you won't be disappointed. Like I walked in like, what in the world is happening? Forks are waving in the air and it just sounded so different. But I am telling you, it is amazing and powerful. So, as far as getting in touch with me, if you'd like to connect, discuss more, or if you'd like to schedule a session, again, you can go to shewisewellness.com. And if you schedule a session, again, the code is July 10 to get 10% off. Email shewisewellness@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook. It's SheWise Publications LLC on Facebook. On Instagram, it's she_wise_publications. You can find us there. And then if you're interested in getting a digital download journal from SheWise Wellness, we just published a 2025 one not that long ago. That's right on our product page on shewisewellness.com. So for our listeners, thank you so much for taking time to listen to this episode of Surviving the Human Experience. Until next time, be well and stay blessed.